Let's begin here. Efforts to assist miners that remain underground at the Stilfontein disused mine in the northwest are set to continue this morning. This is after locals who have been spearheading the charge over the past few weeks took a break yesterday, citing fatigue. 3 days after Police Minister Ziniko promised to deploy mine rescue experts, none of them have yet made their way to the abandoned mine. Juniour Khumalo as well as Ziniko Mhlaba are joining us now to have that conversation with us, to speak about what the efforts are going to be today, what entails those particular efforts, and then also what is going to happen looking at the court action that has been brought against the government. Ziniko, let's start off with you. A very good morning. Tell us about what happens today, as well as the processes that will unfollow.
Good morning, Alfred. Well, we are expecting the rescue efforts to resume today. Remember, over the past 2 days, there were some, very delayed operations due. Actually, since Friday, since the minister was here, we understand that, the first half of Friday was disturbed by the arrival of the police minister here at the shaft. And of course, over the weekend, the processes were also unfolding very slowly with, some of the process being halted yesterday with some of the rescuers asking or we're citing issues of exhaustion. However, we'll also be exploring from where we are with my colleague Thabo the dangers of some of these mine shafts. We, were taken to some yesterday by the former miners themselves. So today and the rest of this morning, we'll be exploring some of the shafts, some of the stories and tragic stories which have happened over the years when these mining operations were still operating legally. So we know now that they've been exploited by illegal miners. So we'll be speaking to some people with institutional memory of the operations of these sites while we still monitor, what is happening at the actual site, which is just behind us. There's no one at the site currently, but we're expecting them to formally start with their operations at about 9 a.m. this morning.
Okay, and let's bring in Juniour Khumalo into this conversation as well. Juniour, the other aspect of this is that court application that was brought, an interim order has been handed down, and then tomorrow we are going to have the debate, the main arguments being heard in the court. Tell us about the court order and what it means for this operation.
Indeed, Aldrin, there is that court order that was issued on Saturday, basically saying that the various government departments that are in charge of trying to assist these individuals should basically allow them to exit from this mine. This means also trying to create other exits because the one exit that is here at this mine shaft is very deep and it takes about an hour for those volunteers basically to retrieve only one person. So there is that hope that maybe the Department of Mineral Resources is going to comply with that judgment and try and create another exit. We know that most of the other exits were actually closed down when the police were carrying out that operation Vala Umgodi. So that's where most of these other exits were closed down. But the SAPS are saying that according to the judgment, despite the judgment saying that they should create an exit for these individuals, it's not up to them basically to open those closed shafts as exits. So they are saying that they're going to wait for the Department of Mineral Resources to actually go ahead and start doing this. But we haven't gotten an update from them on whether they are going to be doing this. But we know that today there is that expectation that the MEC for Community Safety, Vessels Mureng, who was tasked with putting together that task team that includes the mine rescue experts, the locals, as well as various law enforcement officials. He is expected to come here to this shaft later today. We are not so sure of the time of when he's going to come here, but we do know that he is compiling a report based on the assessment that is going to be made by those mine rescue experts, and he is going to be delivering that report to the Minister of Police, and the Minister of Police then will give a go-ahead on whether those mine experts are going to start or not. It's been 3 days since the Minister of Police did indicate that he has reached an agreement with those mine experts, so we are expecting an update today from the MEC for Community Safety, Aldrin.
Yeah, I remember they're also speaking about there needs to be a thorough assessment that takes place before all of that equipment is deployed. But Juniour, once again, the point that you raise now, following that court judgment, is that there were exit points that were closed down. And the reason that I emphasize on this is that the argument that came from Cabinet was that the exit points were not closed, therefore the miners were not trapped. It is the miners themselves who refuse to resurface. What does this then mean for the case that government is going to bring?
We did get an update from the Minister of Police on Friday, who indicated that about 650,000 has so far been spent in closing those mine shafts. Particularly, some of them are here in the northwest. So there are those that include this area in Stilfontein as well. So there was that communication that was made by the police minister, and then subsequently we did hear the police now suggesting that these miners were not trapped. They actually chose to be down there. But the only shaft that is open right now that can basically be used to retrieve these individuals is that one shaft that is about 2.5 kilometers deep. So it makes it basically impossible for a large number of individuals to exit that shaft at the same time. So that's why they've been pulling out one miner at a time, which takes them about an hour. So it's not that some of them don't want to come out, it seems. It's that they cannot be pulled out all at the same time. And with the means that they are using right now, the locals are using a rope, and the Minister of Police indicated himself that it is unsafe. We also understand that the last time before yesterday that these individuals received food was actually on Tuesday, and this seems like it was not enough. So there is also that concern that some of these individuals are too weak to use this means of being retrieved that they have been using, of putting a rope down, them holding onto this rope. So those are some of the concerns that have been raised by some of the miners who've come out of that hole, and some of those that have been assisting them, Aldrin.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to unfold as well, considering that you're going to have the community members as well that are assisting. But what we've seen as well, Junior, is that some of those community members, not necessarily experts to the level of the type of experts that the police minister is speaking about, from the mining site at least, but these are people who are actually knowledgeable around how to retrieve individuals from down the belly of the earth. And I wonder what role they would be playing now, considering that there will be these so-called experts from the mining side who will be part of this operation.
Indeed, Aldrin, there was also some concern around some of those from the community who were basically saying that that court order that has been issued says that only emergency services workers should be allowed to go into that hole. So now it creates a problem because the people that have been assisting these individuals are locals. So if those locals then are no longer going to be assisting based on that court order, then those individuals have to stay underground until the mine experts then start their duties. So yesterday we did not see any of the locals coming here to this area to assist these individuals. Some of them cited that they were exhausted, but some of them say that this court order has made it impossible for them to go to that shaft because it says only emergency services workers. So there is that dilemma also now that has been created by that court order, Aldrin.
And Ziniko, what are some of those community members telling you about these rescue efforts, and also the point that is raised here by Junior, that the court order says only emergency service personnel must be allowed to go down there? Are they still adamant that they will be assisting with this operation?
Well, from day one, Aldrin, committee members, especially committee leaders themselves, were very, dedicated to this mission of trying to rescue what they call their brothers and close friends who are currently trapped underground. And also remember that, there are very strong relations between, the people who are underground currently. Well, we are hearing police saying that those people are not trapped, while the committee members and general public are saying those people are trapped because some of them no longer have any strength, to come onto the surface like those we saw coming out in their hundreds just last week. So as far as their commitment to this rescue mission is concerned, it is very clear. However, it's the issue of the capacity, as my colleague Juniour said, that the tools used to try to retrieve, the bodies that are underground, but also bring up those illegal miners who are still alive onto the surface are very, very dangerous. And some experts have been saying that they are not sustainable. Yesterday, we were also engaging with some former, miners who used to work at this shaft, for some time back in the 60s, 70s, 90s, and the early 2000s. They also cited, some dangers which might be posed by the ropes which are currently being used. Some of them saying that, these mines were dangerous using, world-class machinery when they were still operating. So you can only imagine, the greater dangers that these rescuers are currently, using in terms of the tools. So those are some of the issues. Well, I think it's also important to cite that committee members are very, very, dedicated to this mission, even though there were some concerns with the minister also stating that whatever, committee members have committed to do, they must also take cognizance that there's a time frame in which these operations must take place, but also, the dangers and the risk themselves, those who are volunteering, the risk the rescuers are exposing themselves to as they try to embark on this mission. So we'll see how this week unfolds as far as the rescue efforts, as my colleague said, that there is, a task team which has been put together by relevant authorities here in the province. So we'll see how those aspects are going to be interacting with the community members who are currently leading these rescue operations. But as far as their dedication is concerned, it's very clear, and they don't seem to have any attitude of backing down or giving up anytime soon.
And I think that discussion that you had with some of those former miners, Ziniko, also raises this question around what happens with the communities after these mines close down? What happens to the economic activity because some of these people then don't find work and places to work for? But thank you so much. Ziniko Mhlaba there as well as Juniour Khumalo following that story for us in Stilfontein as we expect the rescue operations to continue this morning.